Hey, what's up, y'all? Matt and Mixes on the mic, and today we are going to be giving draft grades to the 2021 NBA draft. They are in the process of completing their fourth NBA season, so I think it's been enough time to where we can start grading these guys. So, first overall pick, Cade Cunningham, he gets an A. This season he's really proven that he was worth that first overall pick. I think he's already, even before this season, he showed potential of the first overall pick, just hadn't quite been able to stay healthy enough to prove it. And now this season he's been healthy, he's been balling. He's going to make an All NBA team. He's helping get the Pistons back to the playoffs for the first time since they had Blake Griffin. You really can't ask for much more out of your first overall pick. And there was very little doubt in my mind about what grade he was going to get. I think last year maybe you can argue that someone else could have possibly gone first overall in a redraft, but this year there is no more argument. So, second overall pick was Jalen Green, athletic shooting guard. I'm going to give him a B grade. So, I think he's very well proven within the past two seasons that he's one of the best scorers in the NBA, and he's trying his best to improve in other areas, but he has shown a very clear ceiling so far that's a little lower than what I'd probably want from a second overall pick. He's going to probably for the next decade be one of the best scorers in the league. He'll find some ways to contribute in other offensive areas, but I don't think it's ever going to be enough to be one of the top three guys in this class. But at the end of the day, on this Rockets team, his role, I think his ideal role, it really is just to kind of score. So I don't think the Rockets are necessarily regretting this pick. I think Jalen Green is I think there's questions at first, but I think he's proven throughout the last few months that he is a good fit on this team. So next up is Evan Mobley, the big man. So he's going to get an A grade as well. Before this season, he definitely would not have gotten an A grade. I mean, his second season, he was doing pretty good on defense, showed a very clear ceiling on offense. But and then his third season was very disappointing, really, on both ends. He didn't really get much consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. He didn't take the offensive jump. But this year, in year four, he's done both. And he's proven that he is one of the best big men in the NBA. He's very likely going to win Defensive Player of the Year as he's helped the Cavs be an historic team. They've had two very strong runs this season. Like one was 15-0 and the other was 16-0. And Mobley, he's been a big part of that. And they would not be nearly as good without Mobley. And I think Coach Kenny Atkinson has really done a good job of giving him some confidence to feel like you're not a big option in the offense, but you can still find ways to contribute. So, fourth overall pick was Scotty Barnes, the all-around forward who can contribute in many different ways. So he's also an A grade as well. Although compared to last year, I'm a little more questionable about the A grade, but I'm still going to give it to him. So last year, he was the first person in this class to make an All-Star team, and although the Raptors weren't winning a lot, he was playing great basketball. And this season, he's taken a step back a little bit, but not too much. More than anything, I think my main concern about him is health. He hasn't really been too healthy in his career, really throughout his entire career. And that's really what will probably hold him back from. I think he could be the best player in this class if he can manage to have an entire career fully healthy, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. And like I said before, he just finds many different ways to contribute to basketball, and I hope the Raptors can build a winning team around him soon. I'm not really too confident, but we'll see. So the fifth overall pick was Jalen Suggs, a combo guard who's known mostly for his defense. I'm going to give this selection of Jalen Suggs a B. So, like I said, he's one of the best guard defenders in the league, and that's definitely not something you can overlook. But his offensive leap that could have possibly put him into an A grade just hasn't happened. But he's honestly so good at defense that he's able to get a B, basically just a B grade, basically just on that. Of course, the Magic, I think they do need, I've said before, they need some offensive help at the guard position, but I think Suggs, he definitely has to stay as the defensive anchor at the guard position. And that can allow you to get a guy like Trae Young and not hurt your defense. Then you have your good defensive guard in Suggs, and then Trae Young kind of to create the offense. And who knows, maybe Suggs will take an offensive leap eventually. So the 6th overall pick was Josh Giddey, point guard, shooting guard from Australia. I think this pick was very questioned at the time. A lot of people just did not think he had any sort of ceiling and that this was just an absolute reach by the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I'm still probably going to give this pick a grade of a C. I think Giddey just didn't really fit what the Thunder were building. I think on the Bulls, he's definitely starting to show some growth. But until I see some more consistency, I can't give him anything higher than a C, considering he's a 6th overall pick. Even though he had lower expectations than most 6th overall picks because he was seen as a reach, but still, you've got to expect a decent amount from your 6th overall pick. I can't just excuse him because some people are hating on him. But at the end of the day, I think he does have room to grow. So the 7th overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft was Jonathan Kuminga, the athletic forward of the Warriors, and he's going to get a C grade. Listen, I think Kuminga's entire career has been the narrative of potential. Once he reaches his potential, he's going to be a great player, the next great second option for the Warriors. But he hasn't just quite lived up to that potential yet. He's a good basketball player, a valuable player, but he is not worthy of a 7th pick so far. And I think he's going to have to continue to improve. And in his defense, he has improved. He has taken massive leaps throughout his entire career. But at the end of the day, this is going to have to continue if he is going to want to grade higher than a C. There's just no way around it. And I think what's really held him back is injuries and just trying to find his fit on the Warriors. So the 8th overall pick was Franz Wagner. I think that's how you say it. He's a small forward, and he's going to get a B grade. Listen, before he got here, he was playing at a legitimate all-star level. And he's a very valuable offensive piece to have. He's very good at spacing the floor. But I think between injuries and just kind of having a lower ceiling compared to guys like Cade Cunningham, Scotty Barnes, even Evan Mobley, I think that's what makes me want to put him in the B grade instead of an A grade. I'm not really sure if there's much he can do to be higher than a B, but at the end of the day, a B is a very good grade, and there's nothing for him to hang his head down about. He's just got to try and stay healthy. And just kind of see how far he can develop, if there's any more room for him to develop from here. If this is a ceiling, it's a pretty good ceiling, but not an A grade level ceiling. So 9th overall pick was Davion Mitchell, who I think legitimately only got drafted here because his name kind of sounded like Donovan Mitchell. He was not really ranked that high on the prospect rankings, and he just has not turned out that good so far. He gets a D grade. And listen, this guy's just kind of sneaking around the NBA at this point. I could have sworn he was on the Raptors, but he's actually on the Heat. I have no idea how he got on there. And of course, the tape I'm playing is from the Kings, where he played his first couple seasons. But yeah, he's a guy that's kind of clinging on to NBA life at this point. He has, some occasional outbursts where he can have a really good game, but it's just not that common. And at the end of the day, I think this is really looking like another bad pick for the Kings, who are just basically known for bad draft picks. Outside of DeMarcus Cousins and De'Aaron Fox. But more than often than not, they are making a very bad pick, and I think this is very comfortably another addition to that collection of bad picks for the Sacramento Kings throughout really most of their history in the NBA. So lastly, we have made it to the 10th overall pick, which is the last one I'm going to cover just to make sure this video is not too long. So this is Ziaire Williams. He was drafted by the Grizzlies, and he also gets a D grade. And the only reason he's getting a D grade is actually because of this season with the Nets. He's having a career year with the Nets. He's averaging basically 10 points, shooting the best 3-point percentage of his career. If it was just based on what he did for the Grizzlies, he gets an F. He was not good with the Grizzlies. And I think he just really didn't have room to develop there. He needs, some opportunities that just weren't there for him. And now in the Nets, he's kind of getting an opportunity to grow a little bit. And he has shown some growth. And I'd be curious to see just how far he can grow. Right now, I think his potential really is just as what he is now, a good role player. But if he can start to live up to some of that potential that they were talking about when he was in high school and college,